Hello, and welcome to Conquering Finale. My name is Jason Lafredo, and today we are taming more time signatures. Specifically, this tutorial is going to focus primarily or solely on pickup measures. And I'm calling this a basic level video, but the truth is that pickup measures are not all that exhaustive in Finale. It's pretty simple, but there are some complex things that you can do. So let's consider this basic through intermediate through advanced level type of video. And I suppose that once you learn what it is you need to learn, you can stop the video and go on your way. But I will start from the beginning and go all the way to the end in this one video, hopefully. All right, so the pickup measure. It's somewhat related to the time signature tool, but it's actually handled ever so slightly differently. And in fact, it's easier, I think, actually. And all we need to do to add a pickup measure to a piece is go to Document and find towards the bottom there's a pickup measure option, and click that, and we get this dialog box. And in the top half, it says select the duration of the pickup notes that you want. So you'll have all these options for pickup notes. And in 4/4 time, it will not allow you to choose the whole note or the double whole note, which is why they're grayed out, because that would be equal to or greater than the value of the whole time signature, obviously. So the most you could do actually is a dotted half note, right? So in this case, let's say we want to have a quarter note pickup. So we just click the quarter note thing and hit OK. And now you'll see that it's giving you a quarter rest and then full bars. And then, of course, as we enter notes, that's exactly what you get. All right, so that's essentially how you do a pickup measure. Okay, and if you want to clear the pickup measure, just go back to pickup measure. Now you notice that it's checked, indicating that there is a pickup measure in the file. Okay, so just check it again, and if you want to get rid of it, press clear pickup and OK, and it goes away. Now this first bar is a full bar again. All right, so let's go back and put that pickup measure back, quarter note. All right, and you'll notice it did something with my measure numbers here, right? Before I had measure 1 starting at the beginning, and then this was measure 2. But now that we have a pickup measure, Finale will, by default, automatically change it so that the first numbered measure is the first full measure, all right? If that's not how you want to see it, there is a way to fix that using the Measure tool. Go to Measure, Edit Measure Number Regions, and you'll kind of see what's going on is that Finale has now made the measure region defined as 2 through 9999, which is basically 2 through the end, starting with measure number 1. Okay, so if for whatever reason you wanted that pickup measure to be included in the numbering and you wanted that to be number 1, all you'd have to do is change that first value of 2 to 1 and click OK, and now Finale will number that pickup measure for you. All right, so that's how you would do that. A couple other things I wanted to show you. I'm just going to go back and restart everything. This came up recently on one of the Finale forums on Facebook, and I thought it was a good lesson to show you. So let's say, for example, we have 12/8 time, and you'll see when I go to the pickup measures dialog box, you'll notice that you have options here for durations of the pickups, and they're either whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, eighth, 16th, etc., and then dotted versions of all of that, right? But what happens if you have a pickup value that doesn't really match one of these values? So it's possible, for example, in 12/8 time to have a pickup measure of 5/8 notes, right? That could be something that you would need, except you can't get there from these set of durations. You can't, you can have a dotted quarter note, but you can't have a dotted quarter note and a quarter note. It's one or the other, okay? That's just how the pickup measure dialog box works. You can't have one or the other, all right? So this is where this second thing in the pickup measures comes into play, the EDUs. And if you know anything about EDUs is just durational units. It turns a duration into a value. It's a basic MIDI number. It's sort of standard across all MIDI programs. And 1024 is the value of a quarter note, and then you divide it in half to get an eighth note, half again to 16th, or you double it to get a half note, etc. Right. So that's just the generally agreed upon MIDI value of durations. So in order to get a 5/8 note pickup, We just have to do some math. So we know that the eighth note EDU value is 512. So if we want 5 of them, we just multiply by 5, and I've done that math already, and it is 2560. All right, and you'll notice when I enter a value like that, everything gets, nothing gets grayed in right here. It looks like nothing's selected, but the value of 2560 is actually selected, right? So then we click OK, and now we should have 5/8 notes worth of pickup. All right, so that's how you would do a slightly more complex pickup measure where you don't have a readily available duration ready to go. Okay, let's just go back to square one again. And there's one more thing I want to show you, which is in this particular file, I've got this set up so that I've got a second movement in the file, right? So I've got a final bar line here, and I've started a second movement on the second page. Now, what happens if you want a pickup measure in the second movement? Now, unfortunately, the pickup measure function from the document options will only ever apply to the first measure of the file, right? So I can even, if I select this bar and choose pickup measure and choose a value, it's still going to put the pickup measure in the beginning of the file, right? You'll never be able to use that pickup measure function anywhere else other than the very first measure of the file. So in order to get a pickup measure halfway through the file, in this case the beginning of the second movement, we're going to have to fake it. And if you watch the second video in this series, you might guess where I'm going with this, all right? So, but I'll do it for you step by step so you have it at your disposal. So what we're going to do is go into the time signature tool, double click that bar, and instead of having a 3/4 bar, we're going to want a 1/4 bar. Let's say we're going to do a quarter note pickup, a 1/4 bar, just for measure 21 through 21, okay? And then we're going to choose more options, and we're going to use a different time signature for display, 3/4, okay? So now what we've got is we're showing 3/4, but this first measure is actually just 1 beat. Okay? So that's how you would do that. So it looks like a pickup bar, although technically Finale looks at this as being a 1/4 bar, and this is a 2/4 bar, right? And you'll notice if you're looking at my measure numbers, you'll notice that it doesn't behave the same way as using the pickup measures function in the document menu, right? Because Finale still sees this as a legitimate measure in the file, so it's going to number it. And of course, if we want to not number that measure, right, let's say we don't want this numbered and we want this to be measure 21, we can use the measure tool and double click in that 1/4 bar, and we have an option towards the bottom right here, which is include in measure numbering. Now this will be checked by default in every measure in the piece. But if you uncheck it, then that measure will get skipped in the sequencing, right? So then we go from, what is it, bar 20 is the end of the file, right? And then we go to 21 right here. All right, so that's how you would do that. And of course, I'll just show you one more thing in case you're curious about it. If, for example, you wanted this to start at bar 1, then we have to use the measure number regions, and we can the first region will apply to the first movement, so we can just say 1 through 20, and then add another one, and we'll include actually I think it's 22 through 9999, except it's going to be 21. Is that correct? Oh, there we go. No. What did I do? Oh, except we wanted to say 1. That's what we wanted. There we go. All right. And that's how you would do the measure number regions to fix that for you. All right. So that's basically all there is to pickup measures. I showed you how to do a simple one. I showed you how to do a slightly more complex one. And then I showed you how to do a mid-file pickup measure in case you needed to do something like that. All right. And so that's all there is to it. Thanks for watching. Come back. There's a few other lessons on time signatures, and we'll look at those next. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one.